Hello, my name is Anthony Gonzalez, and I'll be doing pivotal events in U.S. history and my own. So, my own history is when I busted my head in 2010. Now, this event happened because when I was in middle school, I believed that running across the street was a courtesy because it let the people in their cars get to the place that they wanted to go the fastest. So, this time when I ran across the street, I wasn't paying attention too much, and I tripped on the curb and I hit my head into the pavement. I had to then walk home because my head was bleeding and I had a cut. But I was fine because I was able to go to the hospital. Now, the reason this was pivotal in my life was because it gave me the chance to believe that I should improve myself and maybe make things more safe for myself, such as now when I walk across the street I'm very cautious, even especially when crossing it, including looking behind myself, looking in front of myself, looking left, right, looking at the person driving the car to make sure that they are looking at me and they know that I'm about to cross the street. And that's the reason it's pivotal, because it made my life want to be more safer. Now, the next event was the Columbine shooting, April 20th, 1999. Now, this event happened, and what it was a group of students came to their school and they began having a shootout, and there was a mass shooting, and they began shooting and killing many students before taking their own lives. Now, the reason this was pivotal to everyone was because it made everyone feel very uneasy, very unsafe that this event could have happened so easily. So, after this event, many schools and many places increased security and even put many other security security acts in place, such as like having all the students have like mandatory ID card checks so that they have their ID so that this couldn't happen. Even though that was ridiculous, though, but because of the shooting, every school and everyone felt that they had to put in some safety measures so that they could feel safe. Now, a pivotal event in history for the myth that slavery was caused by racism was the story about Anthony Johnson, who was born in 1600 and died in 1670. Now, the story of Anthony Johnson was that he was an indentured servant and he served for 7 years. Then, after that period, he got himself some land and some slaves, but black and white slaves. Now, the reason this is pivotal to the slavery, that slavery was caused by racism, was because if there was racism and slavery, then this man wouldn't have even been able to, in fact, get land or even get out of his indentured servitude. In fact, he would have been a slave. But no, instead, he was black and was able to own land and black and white slaves, which shows that the myth about slavery being mostly about racism was false, showing that this is pivotal to helping in that disproving the myth. Now, the next pivotal event throughout history is the Boston Massacre, which happened in 1770, and it was about a large mob of colonists who were planning on killing a small group of British troops. And when the colonists started throwing things at the British troops and it struck one of the troops, the troop then saw that as his life being threatened, so then he shot at one of the colonists. The other troops then saw this as a sign, so then they started firing into the crowd. They killed only around 3 people, including a black man, but the reason this was pivotal was because it showed how truly violent and upset the colonists were, and that violence in the colonies wasn't started by the troops themselves, but instead very violent, rowdy colonists, which showed throughout history that the colonists were violent, even though the Boston Massacre is depicted as the troops massacring the innocent colonists, which is false. And then another pivotal event throughout history was Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was a book written in 1852, made by Harriet Beecher. Now, this book was about a very violent white slave owner and his black slaves. Now, this book was about how the white slave owner was very mean and violent and unjust to his black slaves, but focused on the life of one black slave. And when this was published and the North saw this, they were very shocked and horrified about slavery, because they were able to relate to the life of this one slave. So the North saw this as a horrible act, which was slavery, which caused a battle called Bleeding Kansas, which was a big battle to abolish slavery, killing thousands in the act. Now, the reason this was pivotal is because it caused that, the reason that the book Uncle Tom's Cabin was pivotal was because it showed that slavery was this horrible act, and it made all the Northerners want to make a push to abolish slavery, enough of a push that they'd want to have a fight with the South to free slaves. And that is the conclusion to my video. Thank you for listening.